Okay, I am back. I figured it out. The answer's right here. I just typed in, finding the perfect square. Now it wants it to be in an integer. They're using double. So, but it's not really gonna matter. And this is how we gonna do this. Um, First of all, double square equals. It's an integer. We use an integer, but we need it to be a double, right? All right, let's just come back here. I already got the concept and how I got the concept. I know what it's supposed to. I know how to approach this problem. First of all, what I was doing was completely 100% wrong. I don't even know why I didn't see this. I don't know what I was thinking. That just come from me talking on the phone and all kinds of distractions. That's why you got to stay focused. So, delete all of this. Basically, what I was trying to do is say, um, well, get the square root, right? Or yeah, get the square root. And if the square root is equal to the input, then that means it's a perfect square. That's false because the input is the actual square, right? So let's say the input is 25, right? I get the square root, which is 5. 5 is not going to be equal to 25, but that is a perfect square. So, yeah, that was not good logic. My logic was way off. Well, in my mind, I was, yeah, my logic was off. Let's just put it like that. My logic was completely 100% off. Let's just delete all of this stuff. Now I know what to do. I have to use two methods. I'm going to have to use the square root method and the floor method. Uh, First thing I need to do is get double. I need to get the square, and I need to assign that to n somehow. Um, Equals dot square root, and of course I'm going to we're gonna create a double value for this, right? Um, I think I could do it like this. I think I could do it like this. Double, and then just put n. That, I think what that does is convert that. No, 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 I can't do it like that. I have to say double. Result. This is the root though. But yeah, let's just say double result is equal to is to right. It's just test. It's just to test my syntax. I don't think this is right, but it's it's just test it. Okay, so the syntax right here is okay because I'm not getting any error up here. It's actually checking. Okay, so I did convert right. All right, so now, so conversion oh instead of that, it should say results. But actually, I don't know until I use this. As a matter of fact, return. All right. And so basically now what I'm going to do is return the difference between, oops, I'm going to say the difference between this minus how did that floor function look? That floor minus mapped out floor square. Okay, yeah, 0. All right. Oops. Right here. And so I say dot floor. And it's gonna be equal to 0. This minus this equals 0. Test. And what do you know? I passed. I attempt, and I got it. Now this right here, I figured this out on my own. I didn't have to look this up. I looked in this video earlier when I was streaming in my other video. When I couldn't solve it, I was trying to convert a double to an integer. But this time I had to convert an integer into double. I just used the same concept. In other words, if it was the other way around and I wanted to, let's say, convert an integer into a double into an integer, right? Let's just say this was a double, right? And I wanted to convert it into an integer, then I would have did the opposite. I would have did this. And it would have convert results into an integer, but So I'm proud of myself that I figured that out on my own. That I just guessed that's how that syntax is supposed to be. And I mean, yeah, it's just that simple. I solved that. Yeah, big dog. I mean, yeah, I had a little help from the internet, but see, that's the key with programming. You're not supposed to be able to memorize everything. So what you do is, hold on, what did I do? Oops. What you do is you just look stuff up. You look and find the answer. The important thing is that you understand the code and what it's saying. You notice that I didn't have to go back and forth to copy things. I just went to, I think the only thing I had to look at was how he wrote this statement right here. Mapped out floor square, which is something I should have already, that's something I know that it's coming using the same math class. So, but I know what's going on right here. Well, yeah, I know what's going on. I can read it. I this stuff right here, I just ignored it because this is just them trying to prove a point. The output and stuff like that. I don't really need that portion of code. The only thing I need, this is the solution right here. Return the difference between the actual square root and the floor of the square root. In other words, if the square root is a decimal number, right? Well, it's going to the floor is going to get that actual that I think, yeah, the floor is going to round off to the nearest integer or something like that, and then it's going to compare. Now, if that's equal, if the difference is less than or greater than zero, then it's automatically false. This statement becomes false. But if they're equal, then the statement becomes true, and that means that yes, it is a perfect square. So that's the solution right there. So coming back here, of course, I had to know that I needed to instantiate some variable to turn, because this method uses a double and not integer, which is so aggravating about Java, because it's like here you got this method that only takes in a double. It doesn't take in anything else but a double. And here now I have to convert something just to use this method. Like by now you would have thought that they updated this class and they could take in anything, right? But no, it's not that simple. So, but I'm dealing with an integer. You get what I'm saying? So I had to say, okay, now let me go ahead and create a variable here to make this into a double, right? Double result is equal to this right here. In order for me to, then I had to, in order to make this means something, right? So I say square is equal to, or I assign this variable square to the actual square root of this result, which I can't take in. I can't put like if you don't believe me, watch. If I put n in here, I'm gonna get an error. It's gonna tell me you can't use this method with the integer, right? And then I'm going to test and see what happens. It still works. How is that possible? It works. I didn't have to do that. Oh, you know what? My understanding is wrong. This is going to test wrong. See? That's what they're saying. So it can take in an integer. It can take the square root of the integer, which n, even though, because it's an integer. I didn't know that. That's good to know. So my code was simplified, but it has to be a double. This variable has to be a double, but what goes in here does not have to be a double. Good to know. So return square, and then yeah, there we go. Submit that. Submitting my final solution. And so I just solved my first kata online. I've solved some of these things before, but I never did this online using Java. That was fun. Okay, I feel accomplished. Your first completed kata. Congrats on completing your first kata. Here are, or is it kata? Here are some tips for what to do now. Solutions. Each time you complete a kata, you will be shown the solution of other code warriors. This is a great way to pick up new tips and tricks. Next kata. You can move on to the next kata by clicking this button in the top right corner. It will randomly select a new kata for you based off of your selected language and training routine. Your active training routine is found on the dashboard page if you want to change it. Train again. If the kata is available in another language that you know or are interested in, try to complete it again in that language. Discourse. If you have something to say about the kata that you just took, you can head over to the discourse section to chat about it. Okay, now let's look at these people's stuff. Boolean is square. Now I was, okay, never mind. Okay, he's got long s equals math dot round, math dot square root n. Return s times s equals to n. What's going on here? What is he doing? Okay, it looks like he's taking the square root of n, right? Then he rounded it, which is basically what the floor function is kind of there for, you know? Or anyway, the floor, see, what the floor function, that's what that does. If it needs to be round, it will round it. If not, it won't. So technically this is doing an extra step that it doesn't need. If it doesn't need to be rounded, you know what I'm saying? It's rounding when it doesn't need to be rounded if the number is a perfect square, then this step is unnecessary. The floor, it only rounds when necessary. So that's why that they prefer that in this example. That's why they prefer you use the floor method. And the code is lighter. See, look, it's just one line of code. I mean, that other code is short, but it's a little bit. It's saying it's doing extra stuff when you think about it, because it says you got long s equals math dot round. Yeah, that's one line. And then you have return s times s equals n. S times s is equal to n. So basically, I get what they're saying. Oh, yeah, that's a way to do it. It's more than one way to skin a cat. Apparently, they're using the long data type because I'm just gonna guess that this rounding method that they're using uses a long data type. So yeah, and so they're rounding the square root, and then they're saying if this times this is equal to n, if s times s is equal to the n, then yeah, it's a perfect square. But if not, then it's not. After we rounded it, and then, but think about it. You're rounding something that doesn't need to be rounded in this case. So that step, even though it works and it's good, I still say the way I solved it was the more intuitive way. This is, wow, shorter. He says return math dot square root n percentage 1 equals 0. So they're saying the ratio 1. I forgot what this really is. I want to say what they're doing. What does the percentage mean in coding? It's pretty much universally the same as in any language. That's clever though. That's pretty clever. And they're saying if there's anything left though, in other words, after I square this thing and it's not a perfect integer, it's not equal to 0, then scratch it. If it is, then yeah. And oh, okay. What they're doing is dividing by 1. Ooh, what? Slow motion this side. Ralph, I'm giving props to Ralph for that one. I love. He got me doing that. So I mean, I can't do the London accent like he does, but it's like what? Slow motion this side. Hmm. Okay, so math dot square root of n. They took the square root and then they divided it by 1 and said, okay. But why did they divide it? Hold on, no. What they're saying is this is not dividing it by 1. What does this percentage 1 mean? Let's just find that out. What does I mean, it probably means the same thing in any other language because it's a mathematical operation. So yeah, I just need to understand what this. I forgot what the symbol, the percentage sign does. It's the compound assignment operator version of the multiplication operator. The n times. Let's just look at these operators. Yeah, it's an operator. But what does it actually do is the question. The percentage sign times 100% divided by 100%. You know what I'm thinking? Because think about it. If you take a number, right, and divide it by itself, it should be like, in other words, 5 divided by 5. What is the result? It should be equal to 1. And then equals 0. I'm trying to figure out what that is doing. How? Because if I can understand that, you know what? What is the operator do in Java? In Java, and just figure this bad boy out. Why they got all these other operators but not the one I'm looking for? That pisses me the freak off. Etc. But I don't see nothing percentage pop up, man. It's like that's some dumbness, man. What kind of search engine is this? Multiplicative. Okay, you got that's multiply, that's divide, and that's okay. Do they explain? Okay, let's just do this. Type in the percentage sign. Okay, are they gonna explain what that means? A plus, okay. Just this bullshit, Nick. Alright, let's look at this. A equals 10, B equals 5. A plus B is 15, A minus B equals 5. A times B is 50. A divided by 2 is 5. A whatever the name of this operator is called, a percentage of b gives you 0. In other words, that goes into a. Can someone explain it though, so I can understand how to like explain it to someone else? Like, I understand what it is. Basically, what it looks like it's doing is it 10 percentage of 5 is going to leave you 0. In other words, 5 goes into 10 two times with 0 remaining. In other words, there is no remainder. So if you look back here, he's saying n remainder 1 equals 0. Remainder 2. Why he chooses 1? Why not n percentage sign n equals 0? Because 1 goes into everything. Yeah, but not if there's a decimal number. And usually that's what it is. It's a decimal number. And you can't say n times n, because then that would always equal 0. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, that's why he's using a 1 to see if there's any difference. So that's a cool way. I like that. That's cool. That was really smart and clever to do it that way. That's gotta be like the best answer right there. This is not the second best. I think my answer was the best, second best. He did the same thing here. Oh, he did this. He used the what they call that? The binary binary operators, some shit like that. I can't remember the name, the terminology, but I recognize this. This is saying math dot square root of the number. So he takes the square root of the number, and then he says this should be equal to return true or false whether or not this is equal to math dot square root of n. See, math dot square root of n is going to return a oh, that's weird. It's creative. I like it, but I'm trying to understand how he determine. That's the square root of n, right? So let's say it's 25. This is gonna spit out 5. This right here is gonna spit out a 5. Okay, now if it was to 26, right? Square root is gonna be 5 point something, right? Then it's gonna right here. It's gonna be a n. Oh, okay. This is a double. This is gonna be like an integer value, but you can't compare a double and an integer. Square root of n. That's gonna be a double. And if the double is not equal to the integer value, I ain't know you could do that, but you can, obviously. It says return true or false, whether it's true or false. And I didn't even know you could. Oh, I mean, I know you knew you could, but I just forgot you could. Okay. This is what, no, it says if n is less than 0, return false. Integer square root, integer math dot square n, return square root times square root equals n. Yeah, he did extra stuff. If n is less than 0, return false. Integer square root equals integer math dot square root n, return, and then return n. Then you got this dude right here. If n is less than 0, return false. Switch. He writes a switch. See, these are people that just because they know something, they gonna do some extra bullshit. So he gonna go case 0, case. Oh, this is ridiculous. He can't. There's no way he could have passed. There's too many lines of code. Integer I, float x2, y, x2. What the fuck? What the fudge? I don't even want to understand that shit. For something to solve a problem that simple, you gonna write all of this? Get the freak out of here. Okay, yeah, you can do that, but why don't you stick to low level programming, right? Okay, it's square. I mean, you need people like that to sit and program some bullshit that you don't want to program. But anyway, let's go. They used the power. Yeah, they did extra. So I mean, I'm actually at the top with my solution. Ain't nobody solve it like I solved it using the floor function or the floor method. All right, so that's it. That's all we wanted to do and cover today for right now.